You convince yourself, I am fine on my own. But are you really fine? What if I told you isolation doesn't just make you feel lonely? It actually changes how you live your entire life. Not overnight, not dramatically, but slowly, quietly, in ways most people do not even recognize. You stop reaching out. You overthink simple interactions. You convince yourself, I am fine on my own. But are you really fine? Today, we will break down how isolation rewires your thoughts, your habits, and your identity. And most importantly, how to find your way back. Number one, isolation doesn't always look like loneliness. Let's start there. Isolation is not always being physically alone. You can be surrounded by people and still feel disconnected. Especially for high performers, you keep showing up. You keep achieving the next big thing. You keep functioning, but internally, there is a gap. You don't feel seen. You don't feel understood. And over time, you just stop expecting to be. So instead of connection, you choose self-containment. And that's where isolation begins. Now, number two, how isolation can change your thinking. Isolation doesn't just affect your environment, it reshapes your mind. You begin to analyze every little thing, assume the worst in situations, replay conversations in your head. Because without external perspective, your thoughts become your only reality. And here is the danger to that. Your mind was never meant to be your only feedback system. So small things feel bigger. Uncertainty feels like rejection. And silence feels like confirmation. Isolation doesn't just quiet your world. It amplifies your thoughts. Now, how does isolation change your behavior? Let's talk about that. Your habits. Because isolation doesn't just stay in your mind, it shows up in how you live. You start canceling plans, appointments. You avoid calls. You tell yourself you are too busy, but really you're just disconnected. And the more you withdraw, the harder it becomes to re-engage. So what do? You build a life that feels controlled, predictable, safe, but also limited. Because growth requires exposure, and isolation slowly removes that from your life. Number 4 point here, how isolation changes your identity. This is the part no one talks about. Isolation doesn't just change what you do. It changes who you believe you are. You start saying things like, I'm just a private person. I don't really need people around me. I prefer to be alone. But sometimes that's not preference. That's protection. Because at some point, connection felt draining to you, disappointing to you, or unsafe. So what do? You adapt. But here is the truth. What started as protection can become limitation. And if you're not careful, you start building an identity around disconnection. And number 5, the turning point for you. So what do you do if you recognize yourself in this? First, remove the shame. Isolation is not weakness. Sometimes it's what you needed to survive that very season, but you were not designed to stay there. Number two, start small. Not big events, not overwhelming interaction, just one step, maybe one conversation, one honest check-in with a friend, a sister, one moment of being seen. Number three, retrain your nervous system because connection might feel uncomfortable right now. Not because it's wrong, but because it's unfamiliar. Now let's redefine connection. Connection doesn't mean being everywhere at every time or with everyone. It means being real somewhere with someone who actually sees you, with spaces that allows you to be human, not productive. Because success without connection will always feel incomplete. If this spoke to you, you are not broken. You have just adapted that life. But now you can choose differently. Start reconnecting with yourself first, though, and then with others. Because you are not meant to just function through life. You are meant to experience it. Subscribe for more. Because you are not drifting, you are being built. And the first step to healing is awareness. Thank you for watching.